Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 161 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series. I tried doing the self-made story for an Ice-type Noivern in the last video guys, and while it worked out alright, it would work out better if we'd actually start me out with a part where I just meet the Noivern and we bonded. I think this one does it a little bit better. It's called the Frozen Noivern Encounter. And it says the title is The Frozen Echoes, Part 1, an Ice-type Noivern story. Let's hope this one works better than the last one. The last one was kind of cold, but it didn't work out as good as I was hoping it for. It says, a biting wind swept across the snowy highlands where no man dared linger long. The landscape stretched like a white desert, broken only by jagged ice foundations and jagged ice formations and heavy frost-bitten pines. Rumors of a dangerous creature echoed from the mountain's base, of a rare, unnatural ice-type Noivern that had once driven an entire research team into retreat. No one had seen it up close and lived to tell much beyond frantic whispers. Glowing cyan eyes, wings like frost-lace blades, a piercing screech that could freeze blood in seconds. Excuse me? For years, the creature had remained alone, a phantom in the snow, until now. The wind stilled, unnaturally so. Snowflakes hovered like suspended stars as if the mountain itself held its breath. From above, a shadow passed through the white mist, large, silent, predatory. Then came the faintest whirr of wings landing somewhere nearby. It saw you. It had never seen a human stand so still. Not scream, not run. This was not your story to shape, yet you were undeniably part of it now. The creature stepped forward from behind a massive pillar of ice, emerging slowly, deliberate in its menace. This was Glaciavern, the rare ice-type Noivern whose body shimmered like a glacier under moonlight. Its leathery wings had turned to transparent icy fans veined with glacial light. Frost hung from its feathered, ear-like antennae. Dark blue fur covered its body, but patches of crystalline armor like ice clung to its chest, shoulders, and back. Its breath came out as freezing mist, curling around its fangs like smoke from a dragon's maw. Glaciavern stared at you with its brilliant cyan eyes, glowing faintly in the haze. Then it screeched. Not a warning, a test. A bone-chilling howl burst from its throat, causing nearby snow to whip into a vortex. Birds fled. Ice cracked. It wanted to see what you would do, but you didn't run and you didn't flinch. It had been years since anyone reacted like that, perhaps ever. The screech faded into a silence. Glaciavern's nostrils flared, drawing in your scent. Then it stepped closer, one slow step at a time. Snow crunched beneath its talons, sharper and more hooked than a regular Noivern's. It's moved low to the ground like a beast unsure if it would strike or retreat. It tilted its head. You hadn't spoken a word, hadn't made a single threatening gesture. This confused it. Glaciavern had known only one truth. Humans bring pain. Long ago it had been created in a hidden lab where cruel experiments fused Noivern DNA with elemental ice. Scientists pushed it to battle in frozen arenas, injected it with serums, tried to tame the uncontrollable blizzards its voice could summon. When it escaped, it left behind shattered walls and frozen... Oh my gosh! When it escaped, it left behind shattered walls and frozen corpses. Holy frick! It had survived alone since, but now there was you. Your scent didn't carry fear, your flutter didn't scream dominance or demand. You weren't like the ones who made it. The wind blew gently again. Glaciavern lifted one wing as if to imitate you one last time, yet stopped halfway. It noticed something. Your warmth, not just from your body, from your soul. That was no. It stepped ever closer now, standing within arm's reach, the cold rolling off its body like a heavy fog. Steam hissed from the meeting point of its icy breath in your warmer one. Glaciavon let out a low rumble, not a screech this time, but something softer, puzzled, almost curious. Its wing curled around, shielding you from the wind for just a moment. It didn't trust you, but it wanted to. A creature bred in cruelty, forced in solitude, tempered by the cold. Yet now here it stood, wings relaxed, head slightly dipped, not ready to love, but no longer willing to hate, all because it saw something you had never seen before. And for the first time in years, Glacion did not feel alone. Holy crap. Whoa. Ah, that's not how you spell Noivern. Noivern? Is that what you are? You look so cool. There we go. Glaciavon blinked. That sound of your voice hit it like a soft ripple on a frozen lake. Not a command, not a yell, just wonder. Noivern? Its ears, thin, translucent like icy bat wings, twitch as it processes the word. Its glowing cyan eyes locked onto yours again, more focused now. For a moment, you could almost feel the walls it had built over the years tremble slightly. Then, it tilted its head just a little, not in confusion, but in acknowledgement. Yes, it was a Noivern. Not the kind found in any Pokedex, not one more of nature's hand, but something still deserving of a name and a connection. His chest gave a low, resonant hum like a sub-zero wind through a cavern. Not hostile, but not quite warm either. More thoughtful. The same way someone might respond to hearing their name for the first time from someone who meant it. Then slowly, Glaciamon moved. Its right wing unfurled again, large and sheer like a stained glass sheet made of ice, letting a swirl of falling snow reveal the full span of its body. Its fur shimmered in layered shades of navy and glacier blue, and faint glowing lines of bioluminescent white ran from the tips of its ears to its spine, pulsing like veins of frozen starlight. And then, astonishingly, it lowered itself just slightly, the kind of movement a wild Pokemon might make when deciding not to attack, a half step towards peace. You had called it cool. Not a monster, not a freak, not a weapon, and maybe, just maybe, that single word chipped away at the frost over its heart. And that would be kind of evil. Glaciamon reached out with its snout, cautiously, the icy breath from its nose drifting just past your shoulder. It hadn't allowed anything this close in years, but something about the way you looked at it, not with fear, but genuine awe, something about that was unfamiliar. And Glaceon wanted more of it, wanted you to look again, and to speak again, and to mean it. Okay, so this one's a little bit better because at least this one we actually first meet him. It's not when we met him years ago when we bonded with him then. This one we actually get to bond with him in the beginning, which is what I wanted the story to be about. So this one is a little bit better. Is it okay if I pet you? I never seen a species like this before. Not an ice-type version of you anyway. 'Cause, 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 ' I'm not gonna hurt you. Glyphon stood perfectly still. Your words drifted slowly into the mountain wind, gentler than the snowflakes that clung to its icy wings. The creature's glowing cyan eyes narrowed just slightly, not in aggression but in concentration. It was listening, processing, and feeling. It had never been asked before, only commanded, caged, prodded, and feared. But this was new. Your hand wasn't raised and challenged, and your voice didn't tremble. You spoke like you meant every word, that you saw something more than a creature made of cold in combat. And Glishvan felt that. Its body tensed, not from anger, but uncertainty. Muscles cooled beneath its frost-armored skin as it glanced from your hand to your face, something flicking in its expression, something raw and buried. A memory, one that hadn't surfaced in years, a long broken image of a younger Noibat, before the lab, before the ice, resting in someone's arms, just a faint warmth, a tiny echo, long since shattered by betrayal. But your words, I'm not gonna hurt you, they echoed. They shivered through its bones, and then slowly, so slowly, Glaciavon lowered its head, not all the way, just enough. A silent gesture, invitation. Its horns shimmered like frozen crystal as they dipped closer. Mist drifted in lazy curls from its nostrils as its cold breath reached your fingertips. The snout it offered was layered in textured scales and icy fur, slick with condensation from the mountain air. It pulsed gently with life beneath the surface, a chill radiating from its skin like the air off a glacier. But there was no hostility in it now, not a trace. As your hand reached forward, Glaceon didn't move away. Your fingers touched the cool, firm scales near the bridge of its nose, laced with delicate frost, and for a moment you swore you felt it tremble, not from fear, but from something else. Relief. Like it hadn't been paid kindly in years. A low, breathy sound escaped its throat. Not a growl, not a warning, more like a sigh. And then, tentatively, it leaned forward, pressing the side of its snout slightly into your palm. The frost on its fur melted ever so slightly under your warmth, and a slow, visible mist curled around both of you in the stillness. It had let you in. Not completely. Not yet. But it was a start. And that quiet mountain clearing under the weight of unspoken history, Glashmon accepted your touch. That's adorable. I slowly pet. Wow, you are amazing looking. Period. You're also so big. What happened to you, my friend? Question mark. What made you so big and turned you into an ice type? I wish he'd speak. It's easier when the Pokemon speak to you. When they don't, it makes it even harder to communicate with them. Yeah, see, it's not. He ain't speaking. Although, let's see. Each one stayed still beneath your touch, unnaturally still, as though afraid the moment might shatter if it dared to breathe too loudly. Its frost-covered skin glimmered where your fingers brushed the fur, melting their thin trails through the ice crystals along its snout and jawline. It had no words to answer your questions, but your voice, your calm curiosity began to thaw something deeper than the armor it wore. You asked softly, "What happened to you, my friend?" For the first time in a very long time, someone had called it friend. Holy crap, it's kind of sad. The wind howled across the mountaintop again, carrying a faint, aching whistle through the trees. Glacier Vern's ears twitched at the sound. Its breath deepened. Its eyes, once locked with yours, drifted away toward the mist-covered valley below. And then it stepped back. Just one step. Not rejection, more like preparation. With a slow lift of its massive wings, Glacier Vern unfurled their full span. Ice and dust flurried from the joints as each membrane shattered like living stained glass. Clear and jagged with frost, it tilted its head toward the sky, and then released a long, low howl. But this wasn't the scream of rage you'd heard before. This was a song, a deep, mournful melody that rolled down the cliffs like a haunting lullaby. A sound that didn't belong to any normal Noivern. It carried the weight of memory. And as it sang, images began to take shape around it. Huh? It could just make images float around by singing? That's kind of dope. Floating in mist and snow like illusions made of light. They weren't illusions, though. They were echoes. Your breath caught as you watched memories swirl into view, made of frozen mist and pale blue light. You saw a young, ordinary Noibat hold in the corner of a sterile metal chamber, eyes wide and trembling. Scientists with white coats, cold instruments, syringes filled with shimmering blue liquid. The Noibat screamed. They smiled. Machines hissed with frost. The image shifted. The same Noibat, older now, larger. Its wings glazed with unnatural ice, eyes flicking between terror and pain as researchers forced it into freezing battle simulations against fire types, electric types, anything that would push it further. Each time it fought, it grew. Excuse me? How big is this Noivern now? I know he's much more massive than a normal Noivern, but what the frick? And with every evolution, its body adapted more to the icy mutation until it became something else. Not dragon, not flying, something twisted into ice. Its size grew out of control. It shattered the lad's reinforced walls. You saw, you saw frozen corpses beneath sheets of steel. Glacier escaped into the wilderness, screaming in pain as its wings dragged through the clouds, snow forming in its wake. The final image, it crawled alone in a blizzard, wings wrapped around itself as it trembled against the elements, its own body a storm it couldn't escape. Then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, the images dissolved. The mist faded, the wind settled, the mountain grew quiet once again. Glacier Vern turned its head back toward you, eyes no longer glowing fiercely but dimmer, more open. It didn't speak. It couldn't speak, but everything it wanted to say had just been shown. The size, the ice, the loneliness, all it was given, not chosen. And you, still standing there, hand outstretched, not running and not recoiling. As you were the first soul who saw all of it and stayed. The Noivern lowered its head again, lower than before this time, and nudged your hand gently with the side of its icy jaw. An apology, a thank you, and a beginning. Guys, before I can continue, I gotta torture myself with the game mode. I will be right back. Guys, it ain't perfect, but it's better than the first one we did. I just said, after seeing what this Wyvern went through, I said, that's horrible. But you don't have to be scared or angry at me. I'm not gonna do that to you. In fact, if you let me, I'll be your friend. Glacier Vern's breath caught in its throat. Their words didn't just echo through the clearing, they sank in, like sunlight piercing through the deepest, coldest layer of a glacier that had never known warmth. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, it believed you. It's not it, though. Not because the words were loud, but because they were gentle. I'll be your friend. To a creature whose every memory of humans was cold hands, harsh commands, and broken promises, that sentence was more than kindness. It was a lifeline. Glacier Vern's great head bowed a little further, and for the first time it closed its glowing cyan eyes, not from distrust, not to brace for harm, but to accept. A faint mist curled from its nostrils as it exhaled, lowered it loud and long and slow, and nudged you again, not with caution this time, but with something almost tender. Its ice-tipped nose brushed along your shoulder, same way a lonely wild pond might greet one of its own. The mountains had seen this creature rage and weep and vanish in storms of its own creation, but now they saw it lean into someone's touch. Glacier Burns folded its wings slowly, carefully, so the sharp ice crystals at the tips wouldn't harm you. It sat back on its hind legs, its massive frame coiling slightly, less like a wild predator and more like a resting sentinel. Its tail, once curled high like a serpent's, dripped to the ground with a thump, and dusting the snow. Then the Wyvern leaned its head forward again, lower this time, and gently placed its icy forehead against your chest. A silent gesture. No battle cry, no illusion, no memories. Just now, and just you. It didn't need to speak to accept your offer. It was clear in the way it didn't shudder at your voice anymore, and the way its wings no longer curled as a shield, and the way it wanted to stay close. It was still large, still powerful, still burdened with scars and cold that may never fully thaw, but it had chosen you, friend. If you stayed long enough, maybe you'd even see it smile. Quit calling it it. He's a he or a she. Stop calling it. I hate calling a Pokemon it, especially if I know its gender. I kind of understand if it's a Pokemon that kind of looks like a robot or something creepy, kind of like uh, I forget if the flipping past and future well, I kind of forget if the future paradox can have genders or not. I don't remember. Uh, Wait. Uh-uh. Thank you, buddy. Period. You know, from what you went through, you're a really sweet Pokemon still. Do you have a name, my friend? That way I know what to call you besides. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Now let's do this one. Yeah, this is a little bit of a longer response. Here we go. Glacier Fern didn't lift its head at first. Your words, "You're a really sweet Pokemon," settled deep in the hollow it had long kept sealed. Sweet? That wasn't something that had ever been called before. Not even before the mutation. Not even as a Noibat. It had always been the strong one. The failed experiment. The subject. But sweet? That word lingered in the air like frost kissed by morning light. The question followed softly. "Do you have a name, my friend?" And finally, Glacier Fern stirred. Its head lifted just enough for your eyes to meet, a distant shimmer flickering in its pupils, less like the glow of power, more like the shine of a memory just barely within reach. It turned its head slightly, thinking. A deep, soft rumble left its throat, not threatening, but musical, almost thoughtful, as though it were trying to form something, to blow something long buried out of the cold. Then it tapped one of its icy claws gently against its own chest, just once, and the snow before you, a faint pulse of freezing mist took shape. It swirled, light and soft, coalescing like the memory echoed you'd seen earlier. Letters, not spoken but formed, took shape in the snow with shimmering frost trails. Aurelis. Aurelis. The name pulsed with a soft blue light, then faded into the snow. Glacier Fern, Aurelis watched your face carefully now, searching for rejection or acceptance. The name wasn't given by the scientist. It wasn't coded into a chart. This name was something it chose, perhaps a long time ago, in one of those lonely nights where it needed to remember it was still someone. And now, for the first time, it had offered it to someone else. To you. I can't say the name right. The frost-born Noivern who had known pain, power, and loneliness, but still had room in its heart for the hope of a friend. Hey. That's a really cool name. Period. My name is Trenton. What's he gonna do? Usually the point say the name, but here we go. Aurelius blinked once, then twice. Yep. The name rolled through its thoughts like a calm wind passing over a frozen lake, steady and warm and new. Not a command, not a number, a name. Yours, spoken with the same trust and gentleness you had offered him. He drew in a deep breath, a soft rumble pulsing through his massive chest, and lowered his head again to nudge you, this time at your side, not in hesitation or testing, but in greeting. The frost underfoot rippled faintly as a circle of thin snow crystals bloomed out around you both, responding to the emotion building in the air. Aurorus wasn't creating an attack. This wasn't ice formed from pain. This was his way of marking the moment, his way of remembering it, his way of saying, "I see you, I trust you, and you matter." With a slow, careful movement, Aurelius leaned his icy cheek along your shoulder, his breath misting behind you in great clouds. His wings, so often flared in threat or defense, folded behind him like a cloak. The sharp glint of his crystal horns no longer looked like weapons. They glistened like ceremonial armor, regal and watchful. You had given him something no trainer, no human, no scientist ever had, a name to say back, and he had received yours with reverence. You were no longer just a kind voice in the snow. Yep, you were. And to Ruis, that meant something sacred now. Then, slowly, he stepped beside you, his great wing brushing your back lightly like a protective curtain of snow-laced silk. He looked out toward the horizon beyond the cliffs, the vast world waiting below the mountain where he once feared to go again. But now, his eyes flickered to you. There was no fear in them anymore, only a silent question. Shall we go? Holy crap. Before I can say anything, I hear a voice behind me say, "Oh, there's that stupid human." Before somebody something hit me hard in the head. Period. It was a vial filled with crystal blue liquid. And before I could even say anything, I started getting smaller and turning into a type. Um, Only about 14 inches tall. Are you serious? Guys, with these sort of stories, you about need, especially whenever it's. Oh, actually, this one's a little bit better, but. Oh no. The cold wasn't what stunned you, it was the impact. The vial shattered on the vial shattered on the back of your head with a sharp crack. Freezing liquid spraying across your neck, seeping down your skin with an unnatural burn. Before you could even turn to see who had spoken, a cold rush like a winter gale howled through your nerves. Your limbs trembled, your vision twisted, and the mountain spun. What the frick? You tried to speak, tried to say something to Aurora, but the words died in your throat as your voice cracked, shrill and high pitched. You stumbled forward, but your legs were wrong, shorter, lighter, and clawed. Feathers replaced fingers, wings instead of arms. Oh dear. The stone beneath your feet suddenly loomed larger, your perspective falling rapidly like someone pulling the earth upward around you. Your body pulsed once with icy light, and then the world stilled. Oh dear, you were no longer human. Where you once stood now hovered a tiny trembling creature no more than 14 inches tall, wings twitching against the wind, and tiny claws curling against the frost. A Noibat. When I was saying Noibat, you, your voice, your mind, your heart raw still intact. The panic crowded through your thoughts like wildfire. A silent spoiled behind you, the thundering sound of a tail hitting the rock. Uh-oh. What the? It's Auroras, or how you say his name. He stood in front of you in an instant, massive wings arched in fury, eyes glowing like frozen stars. His body vibrated with power, frost dripping from every feathered edge. His gaze snapped toward the path behind you, where a dark silhouette stood grinning at the edge of the trees. A figure cloaked in gray, holding another vial between their fingers. You should have stayed in the lab, you freak! The voice spat. Ours didn't roar. He screamed. A sound of such sheer rage and protectiveness that the trees crackled with frost and the very air trembled. You were behind him now, small, vulnerable, and my tank was both gripping the stone, and Aurora stood like a fortress of frozen might, his body cold between you and the intruder. But then something happened. Your form. Oh dear. Your form, glowing faintly from the transformation, began to pulse. Excuse me? Softly at first, then brighter. What the frick? Aurora's paused. He turned his head slightly just enough to see what in the world's going on. That glow, it was the same color as his mist, the same kind of shimmer that had formed when he shared his name. The blue wasn't just from the vial, it was responding to something else. You. Your bond with Aurora's, your refusal to hate him even after learning what he had endured. And now, it had changed you. Literally. But not broken you. The enemy still stood above, smirking, tossing a nerve vial in their hand. Aurora's bared his fangs. For the first time, the choice wasn't his alone. You were a Noibat. What the frick? Smile, yes, but still you. Still, yep. And Aurora's glanced down at you with blazing, protective pride, waiting for your signal. Shall you unleash his icy wrath? Or should you take flight with him into the skies there, leave the villain in the dust, and rewrite your fate? The moment was yours. Okay, that's kind of neat. Thing is, though, am I a regular Noivat? Because if that's the case, I'm flipping on freeze to death. Noivan's 4 times weak to ice. Normally, the ice Noivan definitely wouldn't be, but if I'm a regular Noivan, then I definitely am. Before I can say anything. Alright. I heard the voice say, "Take that, you old freak." Now you can't help that. And what's even better, you're not even an ice version of an. So you're gonna freeze to death. Since you're 4 times weak to ice. Oh my gosh. Oh, only 5 years. And bear, you're not even an ice version of an Noibat, so you're gonna freeze to death since you. Oh no. Gosh, this dude, what the frick? The voice scraped through the cold like a rusted metal on ice. Take that, you old freak! You're not even an ice noibat. You'll freeze to death out here. The words echoed in the clearing like poison arrows. You, now a small, trembling noibat, stared down at your own wings. They were purple, not icy blue, soft, leathery, and not frosted with crystal like Aurora's. The cold gnawed at your bones now, not just the air, but the mountain's wrath. Every gust of wind bit harder. Every snowflake stung like needles. The figure above just laughed, trying to walk away. Confident, certain, believing they'd taken everything from you. But they hadn't, because you were not alone. Yep. A sound erupted above you. Not a growl, not a scream. A shatter. Holy crap. Frost exploded beneath Aurora's claws. He launched himself forward in a flash of jagged wind and snow, wings igniting with an aurora of freezing blue fire. His shriek split the mountain sky as his form vanished into a storm. His storm, crashing through the trees toward the fleeing figure like a living avalanche. You could feel it even in your tiny form. The surge of fury, yes, but deeper than that. It was love. Fierce, protective, instinctive love. Thank gosh, not romantic, not forced, bonded. He used my name in there. He said they hurt his, and then they used my name. They threatened the one who saw him, not as a monster, but as a soul. And in return, Aurora didn't just attack. He fought for you. Oh, thank God. You still on the ice, the wind biting now. Your old claws began to numb, but something within you pulsed again. The same glow from earlier, the transformation hadn't been just a curse. It linked you to him. There was still magic in you, even as a normal noibat. Then, just the chill became unbearable. Something warm wrapped up around you. It was a wing. It was his wing. Aurora's returned faster than the eye could follow, leaning hard beside you, his wing anchoring around you like a shield of frost and flame. A thin wall of ice curved outward from his tail like a snow globe dome, locking out the deadly winds. His body was steaming now, not from heat, but power. His scales glistened with pale blue energy, and he looked down at you with a sound like a low, vibrating hum, soft, protective, and furious on your behalf. And then, something unbelievable happened. He lowered his head again and touched his icy crest gently to your tiny forehead. The pulse returned. The glow exploded between you both, and suddenly, you weren't cold anymore. You didn't need to be an ice type, because Aurora was sharing his power with you. Your wings tingled, then shimmered faintly at the edges, wisp of frost curling off the tips. Not true ice type yet, but something new, something evolving. Hey, he'd accepted you, and now he was saving you. With a deep, steady breath, Aurora's shifted slightly, offering his shoulder, his back, inviting you to climb up, to wrap beneath the great icy sails of his wings where the cold would never reach you again. You weren't weak. You were changing, and you were still you. And you had holy crap, and you had a dragon that would freeze the war itself to keep you safe. It sounds a lot like some of them other Pokemon I befriended. Because I think there was some where it said they'd almost do anything to keep me safe, if it involved doing something that would be very risky or dangerous. I couldn't speak anymore in this form. So I just gently flapped my wings and landed. No. Wings! Wings! You fucking idiot! Stupid. How'd you put S there? Landed gently. Oh my god! Stupid! Stop. There we go. Then gently nuzzled him with my tiny there. There. Aurora's massive body shuddered the moment you nuzzled him, not from pain or battle weariness, but from something far deeper relief. For a heartbeat, he stood completely still. The wind howled around you both, but inside the icy dome, it was silent and sacred. He could feel your warmth now, your tiny heartbeat pressing against the back of his neck, your delicate claws clutching just behind his armored shoulders. He had fought so many years believing that any closeness would end in betrayal or change, and now, I know about barely a foot tall, once a human, once his only real companion in the world, was curled on his back with utter trust. No fear, no hesitation, just love. The glow between you flared one last time, briefly but brilliantly, and then he moved. With a deafening flap of his wings, Aurora shot into the sky like a shard of glacier hurled into the stars. Ice peeled off the edge of the cliff as he ascended, the air itself parting before him. His wingspan was enormous, catching the wind with perfect precision. And you, small, fragile, you, clung close to the worn space between his shoulders, shielded completely by the heat of his aura and the power of his heart. Down below, the cowardly figure who had struck you watched in shock, a second vial slipping from their hand and shattering at their feet. The bluegood froze instantly, curling up their boots like a curse meant for themselves this time. Iroris didn't even look back. You both soared through clouds and past drifting snowflakes that scattered like diamonds around you. The moonlight kissed your wings, and though you couldn't speak, you didn't need to. You knew he could feel what you were saying. Through your heartbeat, through the way you pressed against him, through the way you trusted him, and somewhere, high above the world, roars out a sound. Not a roar this time, but something softer, a low metallic hum, like the lullaby of a dragon long thought lost to cold silence. He sang for you. Hey, that's adorable. For your bravery and for your friendship, for the bond that not even forced evolution or broken bodies could erase. Yep, you were you. He was Aurorus, and Gary, you were free. That was cute. It's really cool. It's a really good. This was definitely a better one than the other one. But when it comes to these kind of stories, I think it only really works well when it comes to like how you want the story to go. Like, the thing I need to do, for one, I need the creature to be able to speak English. That way I can talk to him and understand him more. Because when it's just him making sounds, that's the thing about this made this one so special. This Neumann legit made words in snow and through like little illusions that flew around him, which was really cool. One reason why I haven't made me an ice Neuver myself yet, because I don't know like it even like the design. Like I have an idea for like what it said here, like crystal like wings made with like. But then like if I did it, his whole body would basically be made of crystal, similar to how the rock type for alligator is made of diamonds, or the rock type toad is made of diamonds if he is really happy around you. But like if he's angry with you, his body will be like molten lava, ready to burst and ready to flip and tear somebody apart for even messing with somebody he cares about. While with me on his back, still as a tiny. I relax even more. And because I can't do much, since I can't speak, I just lay gently. The side of his head and fall asleep. I mean, you can't really do much. And what do you want to do? There's not much I can do. Hey, Aurora's felt it. The shift in your breath, the way your small body softened against the side of his head, how your wings folded close like blankets drawn in by comfort rather than cold. Your tiny claws, once gripping for security, now barely curled in peaceful rest. You had fallen asleep, and for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, so had his fear. He didn't slow down. Instead, he flew higher, silently and gently, so the clouds cradled you both like misty arms. The stars glistened above like frost-bitten lanterns, and the world below was just a quiet hush of blue and white. The sky made no demands. The moon asked no questions. Aurora's kept one wing tilted ever so slightly, balancing the wings so your fragile frame wouldn't be disturbed. The edges of his ice-slicked feathers shimmered, catching the glow of your slumbering form. You had nuzzled a monster to sleep, and in return, that monster now guards you like a sacred flame. He angled his flight downward, eventually gliding effortlessly over a frozen forest. The trees below glistened with pale light, every branch of dusted in silver, untouched by war, free of fear. A place only he knew, a place hidden by snowfall and protected by silence. With wings as soft as falling snow, Aurora's descended toward a narrow glade between two cliffs, a secret cave tucked behind a frozen waterfall. Inside, the walls shimmered faintly with ice crystal veins, casting a soft blue glow like the heart of a sapphire. It was his home. It had once been only his, but now there was you. Aurora curled into the back of the cave, lowering himself gently to the icy floor, and with a careful movement no one would have believed from a creature his size, he tilted his head to let you slide naturally into the crook between his forward wing and his chest. There, under the rhythm of his deep, steady breath, you slept on. The cold didn't touch you. It wouldn't dare. And though Aurora's had been made a weapon, treated like a creature too dangerous to love. Now, he kept his wing wrapped around the only soul who had ever seen past the ice, and he would guard you, his sleeping Noibat and his brave friend until the stars themselves faded. For you were his, and he was yours. That's actually very cute, though. Like, that's the one thing I like about certain things with this. It's like if something happens, like they react differently, which I really like. Like even Rexy, whenever I thought we got forced into that Bronchiosaurus, that Bronchiosaurus like form or whatever, that one time when he realized I was scared, he actually kept telling me he wasn't gonna hurt me. You know, all that stuff was actually very sweet of him. And even this, like I got forced into a tiny Noibat, he's over there, and this giant ice Noiverse protecting me like I'm his child. Let me sleep, let me sleep on him was adorable. I sleep peacefully for several hours, but then, about 3 hours in, I start having some horrible nightmares about people hurting me. And some of my other Pokemon that I care about getting hurt. And in my sleep, I start tossing and turning, whimpering, and even oh dear, having some memory about people hurting me. I was getting hurt. Whimpering and even crying. Uh-oh. Man. Oh, frick the video.